We had a video a couple months ago back in August about Gervonta Davis when all of a sudden his fight with Lamont Roach kept getting pushed back, and then he got caught up in a domestic issue in Miami. He's since been caught up in more issues with women and everything since then. At the time, you were all ready to go to drop it. I didn't. I was being a wuss. I was a little bit worried about the optics of being a white guy talking about a black professional athlete having repeated run-ins with this stuff, and I was being a little bit of a wuss. Was worried about the optics of that. If I'm being honest with the obvious, if I'm being honest with the audience, but I think now it makes sense to drop. It made sense to drop it back then, but yeah, Raheem, you think it's about that time we released that old episode of the public?
The truth is that there's danger in it, when you're being honest. It is something to consider, whether or not you want the smoke, if you will, if you want to kick off with these fighters. But yes, it is time. I understand that there is a bit of hesitant because the fight at that point is coming. There is a chance, very good chance, that we're going to be covering the very athlete that we're talking about, and you want to give everybody an opportunity to prove their innocence or to evolve into a better person or to not be the guy who piles on or kicks a guy when he's down. But the truth is, certainly these kind of allegations, the kind of thing that we are seeing, not just from Gervonta Davis, but from, any athlete in the spotlight getting tens of millions of dollars. We have to be honest and critical when it's difficult. That's part of the job. And sometimes we will be put at a disadvantage for that, banned, refuse to interview with us, what all the things that can happen. But if we're on the job and we have a take, I think it's our responsibility to do it. And now I think is the time to reflect on what was said then, because there's really no room now for hesitance. This is an issue that has to be addressed.
Yeah, and I did speak about Gervonta needing to keep his hands to himself multiple times on the Porter Way and everything, but a lesson to be learned again, a lesson that I've known many times, but it's the truth always ages well. And typically, not only does it age well, usually it gets you a lot of heat in the short term. That's the price you have to pay for it to age well. Anyways, without further ado, check out the video me and Raheem had back in August about Gervonta Davis. Previously on Raheem and Shaun talking about boxing. Where we're at compared to August 30th. So what do we think's going on with Gervonta Davis? I think he's 31 now, I think, and you're not in your 20s anymore to be messing up with the domestic violence stuff and everything. And apparently PBC had this date ready to go for him, and it's just if you're chomping at the bit to right the only wrong on your record, you didn't lose, but you got a draw. Then why? I don't know. But shouldn't you be so focused getting ready for this rematch that this kind of stuff can't happen? But I mean, it happened on Father's Day, and it sucks to even get into these guys' personal lives. Not something I think we really want to get into, but when you're replacing the news headlines with the fights, with the stuff in the ring, with the stuff outside of the ring, we got to go there and talk about it. And there's just really no excuse short of a woman, I don't know, threatening the lives of your children or something. There's just, you got to have the self-control to keep your hands to yourself. There's no excuse for it. And this isn't the first time he's done it either. So not trying to dogpile on the guy. I mean, the sky is blue, water is wet, and putting your hands on a woman is wrong. I don't think people need me to tell them that. But what do you think about everything going on? Rematch in the air, everything going on with Gervonta Davis.
Well, I've been polling the contemporaries in his boxing community
Right.
about just that. And I have received very little defining reaction. A lot of, it's not my business, no comment, I don't want to get involved, which, of course, is the purview of anyone who is being asked a question about something that is, in fact, not their business or they are not involved in. What gives me pause is the fact that it seems to be a crime to ask the question. A fighter who is derailing his career with any legality, illegality business, and in a way, holding hostage big paydays from his rivals because he is remaining in the legal system makes it sports business. It makes it the business of the fighters who are in his division, the fighters who, as a whole, represent the sport, and really young athletes who, whether Charles Barkley likes it or not, are role models because the people are modeling themselves after the roles these athletes play. It doesn't matter whether you want to be a role model or not. You're in that position because kids want to be you. They want to have what you have. They think the way you live is how you got it, and that encompasses the good, bad, and the ugly. So if something like this happens more than once, especially,
Allegedly, and I
don't
should have mentioned
what
that
I'm,
in the
what I'm
first place.
saying happened is he got arrested. I'm not saying
Right,
the incident happened.
right.
I'm saying he got arrested for an incident, and that is relevant. And the fact that it's not the first time gives it a bit more credence, doesn't it? It's something worth. Now, listen, you can say it's alleged. I don't believe it. Wait till he's proven, guilty or not guilty in court. That's a legitimate take. I'm not asking for anybody to shit on him or to moralize or be self-righteous. All I'm saying is you should have a take, maybe. Or at least it isn't a crime for me to ask you if you have a take. And that's what I get pushback from the comments. I'm sure you'll see them here today as if I haven't explained exactly what I'm talking about. You'll hear the raccoon, you'll hear the coon, the Uncle Tom, the this is why Deontay Wilder, all that nonsense is about people not wanting to take accountability and people feeling like if it's in your tribe, then you can't call it out. You can't draw attention to it. You can't ask about it. You should not criticize your own and all of this shit. I don't buy that. I don't believe in it. I believe that we should be accountable not only for ourselves, but if we have a colleague, a friend, a fighter you came up with in trouble, whether it be because these things happen or because he's just putting himself in a position for these kind of incidents to disrupt his career, that you at least say, hey, this is my thoughts on it, whatever those thoughts are, and that the question can't be shoved under the rug because I don't want pushback or I don't want memes or something from an audience that feels like I should be just ignoring something that is as significant and important as domestic violence. Like it's a question that we gotta ask. It's something that you can, at the very minimum, say, hey, Gervonta's made some mistakes. He's growing up. This is not acceptable behavior if, in fact, it is true. And if it is not true, then we need to look at why now, on multiple occasions, he finds himself in a position to be accused of things that he is not guilty of. Is the police force corrupt? Is the woman lying? Is the video doctored? What's going on? Whatever the answer is, I think there's some answers that need to be had. And also, I don't think it's too far to say, hey, whatever it is, which is what Bill Haney said. In fact, hey, listen, I want the best for him and his family. I hope that they get through this moment and that everybody comes out on the other side. I'm paraphrasing. This is not his exact word, but it's a sentiment. And I respect and appreciate that. I wish that we would have more empathy for the woman in the situation. Hey, whatever did happen, clearly the mother of his children is having a very difficult time with the father of her children, and quite possibly she's getting hands put on her by a professional boxer. So let's have, I hope she's okay. Let's hope that she's not now permanently damaged mentally, or that the children didn't see that, or if it is in fact a misunderstanding or something, that they can work it out and find peace in the home. All that is reasonable. All that is worthy of response. And right now, we're looking at a situation where a fighter's career can be derailed by nothing more than allegations. We have a August 16th date that never really did get announced, never was officially on. I've never been to a press conference, never gotten an email about it from any official channels like PBC or Amazon or uh, nothing. We just talked about it because it's just only been a rumor. And now they're rumoring another date. But when is Gervonta going to fight again? Is Roach now kind of held hostage by this will we, won't we, maybe we will, maybe it's postponed, maybe it's canceled, maybe it never was, maybe it never will be? When you Think about how many people are in line to fight Gervonta Davis, how much money is at stake for him and his family, Davis, that is, especially if these allegations are false. It's a lot. It's disruptive in the business and disruptive in the sport because he's such a huge figure and a lot hinges on him. So yeah, it's just saying, I just wanted to bring it to you because it's a discussion that we should have, and I just wish that we could honestly have this discussion in any community. I don't care if you're Mexican,
What
if
a
you're
point.
black, if you're white. It's not the point. The point is what's happening. There's nothing wrong with asking, hey, what's going on here?
Well, you talked about your own tribe and being criticized. So I have to point out Dmitry Bivol had similar allegations. Never was on tape like Gervonta, but Sergey Kovalev got convicted of beating the crap out of a girl up there in Big Bear, California, I believe. Like didn't actually got found and was still allowed to fight Canelo Alvarez. And so I think a lot of Gervonta Davis's fans, maybe a lot of black fans, they don't like me if I they don't like us talking about it because it's like, well, Dimitri Bivol did he celebrated. No one's ever thrown shade at him over that, although guys have hosted his the mother of his children on their podcast. So some people have given a microphone to her allegation, which whatever, two sides to a story. And yeah, Kovalev did what he did. Look, a lot of great fighters. Arturo Gatti, before he passed, a lot of people think his wife set him up, but he was hitting her a lot too before that. And Mike Tyson's famous quote, the best punch he ever landed was the slap on Robin Givens, where she hit every wall in the house. And what I'm saying is a lot of great fighters and champions from all backgrounds have struggled to keep their hands to themselves with this stuff. And I don't have any fun talking about, not nobody will have fun, but I hesitate to talk about this stuff because, I grew up watching domestic violence, very brutal on my mom. And so, I hesitate to even have the convo because I'm not trying to score any virtue signaling points or dunk on Gervonta for if he even did do this. And, earlier you're saying this could have traumatized the mother of the kid. That's possible. It's also possible that a woman could provoke someone like Gervonta to try to get more money out of him. We're just this is what sucks about talking about it, but I'm just trying to give alternate scenarios for Gervonta Davis because and none of them excuse what he did, what he may have done. There's ultimately no excuse for it. But if the woman is trying to provoke him to make him do something because she wants more financial gain out of the kids every month or what, these things are a reality and they happen every day in America. It's just it's happening to one of the stars of boxing. So here we are talking about it and there's no excuse for it and I don't know what to make of what's next in the ring. I mean, I still think it's going to ultimately be Lamont Roach before the end of the year. I just don't know. I mean, he was slated to fight Jake Paul after Lamont Roach and that's still a fight that is ridiculous but will generate more money and money talks. I don't know, man. He's got to get right. He's got Lamont Roach problems. He's got to get right for this Lamont Roach rematch and it's not it's not promising that he's allowed himself to get caught up in this instead of just pedal to the metal rematch, getting that done right. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man.
Just a final thought. The other incidents and the other fighters that you mentioned, absolutely. Poor past behavior does not excuse present
Right.
bad behavior. If we
What
were
aboutism leads to a lot of
remiss,
evils.
if we were remiss in our coverage of these past fighters, maybe that was the catalyst for current issues and the mentality of the current generation. It is also inescapable that every generation where relationships exist, especially between men and women, where there is a physically dominant component in the relationship, there is the potential for domestic violence, and it can be instigated by the weaker of the two. It can be instigated by the woman who has no chance of winning that fight, but will slap a guy in the face or throw something at his head or his car into the wall or run a car into his car. Like we've heard all kind of crazy shit that women can do to provoke a man. And then it comes down to where you draw the line before you have to give her a good slap, as Sean Connery might say, or if there's never a time when it's ever acceptable unless your life is in danger or the life of your children. That is, in some regard, a your own personal standard, but in another regard, that is a legal standard to adhere to as well. It's not that this hasn't happened before in other communities, and sometimes the press falls short, and maybe there are media darlings that don't get taken to task or held accountable as they should, and maybe the black guy gets it worse than the white guy, gets it better than the Russian guy. However, in this instance, in this circumstance, we have another chance to get it right this time. It's not dogpiling on Gervonta. It's having a conversation that needs to be had because this has come to the forefront. And it does affect the sport. And it is an important conversation to have in every generation whenever it pops up. And if we can talk about it honestly, then maybe we can minimize its effect the next generation out. Talking about boxing specifically now, the Jake Paul fight, and people are going to hate to hear this, but honestly, that might be the way for Gervonta to go. If he can get out of this mess, get cleared to fight, I don't know if Roach is the fight they should do. Jake Paul's going to be a lot of money. They're going to squash this story. He's going to be able to probably compete on Netflix, and the spectacle of it all will probably diminish these headlines. If he fights Roach, it's just going to be us boxing people talking about it, and it's just going to be a very difficult fight where he needs probably more focus than he might have if he has a looming case over his head. And he's definitely going to make more money fighting Paul than he will Roach with a lot less risk. Like that might be the choice to
That
make.
fight even happen? What was Gervonta gonna
I
come
don't.
in at?
I
What
don't know.
I don't
Right
even
now,
I don't even want to think
you're
about
asking a lot of questions, Sean. You're asking a lot of questions. It's like, you know what I mean? Minor
it. Don't
details.
worry about it. This just
But
be here. Just be there and let us
my
cash
point
the
is,
check.
if you're not focused, if you have this allegation looming and you're going to be showing up for court dates and jail is a potential, whether you're innocent or guilty, maybe take a lighter load where you can get a lot of money to
Guys,
pay for these
200 pounds. You
legal
might lose to
fees
Jake Paul.
and refocus in a Roach fight. Oh,
You might
Jesus.
lose to Jake Paul because he's like 8 weight classes above you. You know, like sure, pound for pound, 3 rounds. Yeah, like
I mean,
easy.
you won't have to worry about making weight.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't, but I don't know, man. We'll see.
Uh, well, lastly, I think it's a lot of discussion about Gervonta as it should be, but let's give Roach his due. Like, what do
Yeah.
you do if you're advising Roach? Let's say this Gervonta fight is not coming anytime soon. What does Roach do? Where does he
Well,
go from here?
Shakur Stevens has been saying he'll fight him for the longest time. That I think he even has said in the past. Shakur expected Roach to be a tough fight for Tank. May have even picked him to win or literally bet on the draw. I think he may have literally bet on the draw.
He
And
bet on the distance.
there
He
you go.
bet that the
Right.
fight
He
would go
bet
the
the
distance.
dis. There you go. Right. He bet the distance, and Shakur has been maintaining this whole time. Hey, if almost able to have the foresight to say if this dude isn't really going to rematch you, we could get it in. You know, we could do that for my title at lightweight. So that would appear to be the answer for Roach if he can't get the Tank rematch. But
He has him. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think he's better off obviously getting the Tank rematch. Something about Roach was kryptonite for Tank in fight number one. And Tank couldn't let off in the pocket the way he could against almost anybody else. If you stay in the pocket with Gervonta Davis, that's usually a bad game plan at the lightweight division. But Roach had that familiarity with him and had kryptonite for him in the pocket with his counterpunching and his pull counters and roll counters and all that. He seemed to just have Gervonta's timing and answers for him in there. So a trainer at a DC, Raheem, shout out to my guy. I don't know if he wants this to be, known, but he's a really good amateur trainer and familiar with Gervonta and familiar with Roach from the DMV area. And he said Tank wins this fight by using his feet more. He doesn't mean trying to just outbox Roach behind the jab on the back foot. He means, I think, kind of like what Pacquiao and Lomachenko did, other southpaws, where you put them in the blender, you hit them with power shots, but you take the angle on it. using your feet. And he said if Tank does that, he'll be fine. But if he tries to just overpower Roach in the pocket, it just won't work because Roach has his kryptonite. He knows how to figure him out in the pocket a little bit with his counterpunching. So we'll see. I hope we do see that rematch. I think we
For
will. I still think we will.
Roach's sake, I think he rides on that performance against Davis. The fact that some people think he won, and maybe take some different fights. I don't know if Shakur is the fight, but maybe not. I mean, maybe make some money.
Yeah.
It's honing your skills, work on getting even better. So when Davis does come back, you've improved, and you're a more difficult fight than the first time. While he's been distracted by Jake Paul and his baby's mother and the court system and whatever and all the shit that comes with that kind of distraction, you get better in the meantime, sharpening up and getting ready for a rematch that Tank may not have the focus to prepare for. I mean, that's where I see advantages for both guys. Neither one of those things is the most attractive route for a boxing fan that wants to see this immediate rematch, but in each individual case, it might be what's best for each individual fighter.
I was gonna say earlier when we're talking about like we're not here to dogpile on Gervonta and everything. No, I think uh, you could argue he's had a lot of it. You could easily argue it's the truth. He's had a lot of enablers. He's a troubled guy who came from really messed up situations growing up in Baltimore. And so he's this troubled he's a troubled young man. Now he's a man. He's 31 years old. He's a troubled guy and but always super talented. And I think from a young age, he's had people who want the best for him and have tried to keep him on track in the boxing ring, but also people who have kept their mouths shut when he messes up because they don't want to get off the gravy train. They don't want to piss him off too much. And now you're not in Camp Davis or whatever it is. Even Calvin, who is his father figure and has been a tremendous trainer for him, I'm sure Calvin softballs it. If I had, and I got a lot of respect for Calvin, I could be wrong, but just judging from where we're sitting at, covering him, it just feels like he does have a lot of enablers. Yeah, they want him to succeed, they want him to stay on track, but everybody's scared to hold him accountable. So even
Yeah,
credentialed
and at
media,
some
a lot.
point, to your point, a 31-year-old man needs to hold himself accountable. Like this is
Yeah,
well beyond the Davis conversation, but just as a wrap up, you hear this all the time. Well, he don't got he don't got the right people around him. And you're talking
right,
about full-grown adults.
right,
You
right.
cannot be responsible for another man or woman who has free will, a full adult, more money than you, more fame than you. They're carrying you, and you're supposed to be responsible for what they do? No, because you're exactly right. If they tell you to fuck off, then they're still going to do whatever they're going to do, and you're going to have no gravy in your train. This is, yes, if they come to you and ask for your advice or trust you with guidance, and you're even mature enough or seasoned enough and wise enough to give correct advice and be able to guide them better than they're able to guide themselves, which is a big if. Just because people are good around you don't make them wise. Just because people are around you that are good and you may trust them doesn't mean that they have the right answer for your life. So this whole who is around, and I'm just talking about anybody now. We've heard this about any number of people. It's not on them. If you're not talking about a child, or you're not talking about maybe your spouse, be a male or female, they can do what they can do, but they're just in the huddle. You're the quarterback. It's your fucking life. They don't have to be around you, guiding you, and if you fuck up, it's their fault. It's crazy.
Great point. I'm so happy you made that point, actually. And I'll close for us with this. I remember Adrian Broner, like around the Sean Porter fight, was the beginning of the end was unraveling before our eyes. And you were like, I remember you saying in the car with me, I like Adrian, but at some point, it's not about this is the man I want to become. This is the man you're working towards. At some point, at a certain age, that's the man you are. And I think that's gut check time for Gervonta about all this stuff.